became very disturbed.
Jerome Marx is a retired New York State Supreme Court justice and a former state legislator. In the beginning, he was for mandatory sentencing for drug dealers, but now he has second thoughts.
If it was going to help, and if it would cure the problem, I was for it. But unfortunately, it hasn't worked out that way. It just hasn't worked out.
Judge Marx and Angela Thompson came from vastly different worlds. It seemed the two could not possibly have anything in common. But in a strange and tragic twist of life, they did. It was something so personal, the judge couldn't talk about it. But it may have motivated him, in part, to take a big chance.
I was a little concerned because I didn't represent her. I had never spoken to her before.
It was during the Christmas holiday. And when I went in the visit room, there he was, Judge Jerome Marx. And he told me he has been reading about my case and been following it. And he's going to try to help me to see that justice, was done.
What was it about her that won you more completely to her side?
I was going to help her anyhow, but after I met her, there was no question about it. I was going to do whatever I could do to get her out of prison.
He started researching the laws, making calls, reaching out to contacts he'd made in 2 decades plus on the bench.
Now, I've had people who said that they would write letters to the governor.
And there were prominent headlines citing injustice, suddenly, in the court of public opinion at least. Angela Thompson was the test case for New York's mandatory sentencing laws. Judge Marx, on his own time, wrote an official request to the State Executive Clemency Bureau.
I just say to myself, there's always hope out there.
Judge Marx had hope for good news by that Christmas, 1996. Instead, he learned that his request had been turned down. Angela did not meet one of the requirements. She was 6 months shy of completing half her 15-year sentence. But he wasn't deterred. The judge wrote again last March, just about the time of Dateline's original report.
They indicated there were many applications of this type, usually granted very few. We had a lot of publicity. We had the Dateline, and which apparently got the governor's attention anyhow. He knew that there was a person named Angela Thompson.
A real person who was looking at the prospect of yet another Christmas behind bars. But 2 days before this past Christmas, we found Angela Thompson still hopeful. On Christmas Eve, in a written statement, Governor Pataki gave the good news she'd been waiting for.
Her sister and son came up there almost about the same time. And so when she got the word, the boy got the word. And she's such a decent young woman. You have to love her. I just felt towards her like I would my own daughter.
Angela's good news was even more emotional for the 82-year-old judge. In the midst of his fight for Angela's freedom, he lost his own daughter to drugs.
She got caught up in the thing. And it affected her entire life. And I guess, even though Angela, of course, is not on drugs, what happened to Angela could have happened to my daughter, or could have happened to any youngster out there. Do you think that sentencing this youngster to 15 to life, is that justice?
Angela Thompson's freedom, he says, will only make him lobby harder for the thousands of others locked away because of the Rockefeller drug laws. You do wonder how many more cases there are out there in the system.
And I think there are many. I think there are many, and most of them are just numbers. Nobody's aware of them, and nothing much is going to happen unless somebody gets involved.
On a snowy day late in January, Judge Marx and his wife made the trip they'd made so many times before. It was a reunion of sorts. Angela's son, now 7, her sisters, nieces, and nephews, together with this curious man they'd never met before. But they all knew what he had done. Together, they waited for Angela's emotional walk to freedom. Judge Marx and Angela Thompson aren't kidding themselves. They know it's not going to be easy from here, but at least she will have a second chance.
Mommy, where are we going?
We're leaving. We're leaving.
Thompson is now at a Brooklyn halfway house where she's spending her first 6 months of freedom.
She's looking for a job, and she hopes one day to...
You say that no one's pushing them to spend that kind of money, but let's be real. Would it be possible for a city to promote itself adequately to the IOC members without spending a fortune?
Will be not easy. Will be quite difficult. But if they are getting the games, they will receive a lot of money.
The FBI says he's Patrick Mitchell, escaped bank robber and master of disguise.